And I read in various reports, and I wrote about this in The War Against Boys, the latest edition, that boys from broken homes, especially poor boys, that this family instability has more adverse effect on boys than girls. The daughters are, for whatever reason, appear to be doing better educationally and vocationally.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. It's, I mean, ironic that you had a colleague at Stanford who was an economist who was sort of concerned about this point about fathers, because there's more evidence coming actually from economics, you know, specifically, that is suggestive here. Raj Chetty at Stanford, Marianne Burchard at Chicago, especially David Autor at MIT.
Yeah.
They're doing work that suggests that poor boys in particular are being hit hard by this retreat from marriage, that they're the ones who are most likely to be suspended from school, for instance. And what's fascinating about David Autor's work is he's been doing some research with colleagues in Florida, and what they're finding is that sort of, generally speaking, boys are more likely to be suspended than girls in school, but the gap between boys and girls is much smaller for kids from more affluent families and much bigger for kids from poor families. And a substantial part of that story is the kids from poor families are more likely to have a single mother, you know, at the head of that household. And
I read,
so basically not having the father in the household is one reason why poor boys, it looks like, based upon Autor's work, are more likely to be suspended from school.
Now, you've written about what fathers do for boys, even in terms of teaching them how to roughhouse.
Correct.
And how to control their, you know,
bodies. Yeah.
Tell us a little about that.
So it's fascinating. When you think about, you know, a dad roughhousing with his kids on Thursday night, maybe exasperating the mom. You know, she's like, I'm trying to get these kids to bed, and here's, you know, my husband on the floor wrestling with them, or on Saturday morning, you know, wrestling with his toddlers. And you might think, what's the big deal? But what's interesting about this is that work by Ross Park, who is a psychologist at the University of California, indicates that this kind of rough and tumble play on the part of fathers helps kids develop, and that kids, both boys and girls, are more likely to be sort of doing well socially, be popular in their classes, if they have lots of rough and tumble play with their father. And so I think the story here is that, you know, having that experience with your dad, you know, basically teaches kids to some extent how to control their emotions and their bodies, and then they kind of take that knowledge and they bring it with them into the classroom or onto the soccer field or the football field or to the playground.
And how to be rambunctious and playful without being violent.
Yeah, without being out of control. So
without
like a kid is
losing
biting
control.
or whatever, kicking his father, and that,
Right,
you know, soon
bite the
learns
father.
that's not appropriate and that's not acceptable. And so
Right.
they're taking some life lessons from you know, from the family room floor to their classroom and the playground and the soccer field.